Hello everyone, now we are going to discuss secondary balancing. We already covered the primary balancing, in which we have seen that there is a effect of the primary balancing, variation in the attractive force, sine couple and the hammer blow. These are the effects of the partial balancing on the two cylinder locomotives. Okay, effect of partial balancing on the two cylinder locomotives. Now we are going to discuss secondary balancing. We all know that the unbalanced force is equal to primary unbalanced force plus secondary unbalanced force. So I'm just writing here, that is mr omega square. That is the formula you must know. Cos of theta plus mr omega square cos of 2 theta by n. Okay, this is the total unbalanced force. That means primary unbalanced force plus secondary unbalanced force. Okay, you know that this is the primary unbalanced force, which is very large as compared to the secondary unbalanced force. And the reason, you know, I already told you the reason. What is the reason why primary unbalanced force is greater than, very greater than as compared to secondary unbalanced force? What is the reason behind it? The reason is that there is an obliquity ratio, which is as denoted as L. So this obliquity ratio is large. This obliquity ratio is large, so that's why the primary unbalanced force is greater than secondary unbalanced force. This is the general concept that I already told you in the previous topic. But now we are going to consider secondary balancing. That means, however, we know that the primary unbalanced force is very greater than as compared to secondary unbalanced force, so we can neglect secondary unbalanced force. But if we want complete balancing, so we need to consider secondary balancing along with the primary unbalancing. Okay, you must need to balance secondary forces as well as secondary couple in order for complete balancing. Okay, so if you are going to consider secondary balancing, we need to consider the length of the connecting rod. We need to consider the length of the connecting rod L, which is almost, which is not very greater than as compared to the radius of the crank. That means it is almost equal to the radius of the crank. Okay, I'm not saying that this is equal to the radius of crank, but it should not be very greater than as compared to the radius of the crank. So we can consider the obliquity ratio. So we can consider obliquity ratio not as much large as previous we have considered. Okay, because we want to balance secondary forces and secondary couples, so we need not to consider the obliquity ratio as very large. Okay, so that's why you can consider the length of the connecting rod almost, that is not very greater than as compared to the radius of the crane. I hope you are getting my point, what I'm going to say here. So when you consider obliquity ratio not very large, so that means we can consider secondary forces and we can balance secondary forces as well as secondary couple. Okay, so now I am just removing this greater than sign, because we are going to consider secondary forces, secondary unbalanced forces. Okay, now the secondary unbalanced force is equal to mr omega square cos of 2 theta by n. This is the secondary unbalanced force. Okay, now what is the difference? See here, this is the crank. We have seen that this is the crank and having the mass m attached at the end of the crank here. That is the mass m. Okay, and crank is making an angle theta. This is our primary. This is our primary crank. Are you getting my point? Or you can say this is our actual crank. Okay, so this is our actual crank. This is actual crank. Why I'm considering this as actual crank? See here, this is our actual crank, and now we have to draw one more crank, because this is the crank. When I take the component along the line of the stroke, it would be mr omega square cos theta. That is known as the primary unbalanced force. if I take along this, if I take component along the line of stroke, okay. So the force would be mr omega square cos theta. Now see here, here you can see the formula is second and balance for that mr omega square cos 2 theta by n. That means if I rearrange this, so I can write it as m 2 omega square r cos of 2 theta by 4n. What I do, I just have multiply and divide with 4. Okay. So when you multiply with 4, that will become 2 square. Okay. So I just take 2 omega whole square. Okay. And there is a 4 which has to be divided. So the equation is going to be balanced from this equation. So both the equation is same. Okay. I just have multiply and divide with 4. Okay. To rearrange the equation. So you can see here, it will become m r by 4n, r by 4n 2 omega whole square cos of 2 theta. Now when you compare this with the primary unbalanced force, this is secondary unbalanced force. Okay. When you compare this with the primary unbalanced force, what is the primary unbalanced force? That is mr omega square cos of theta. So do the comparison. The difference is that mass remains same. Okay, here is mass m and here is mass m. But the radius in the secondary unbalanced force will become r by 4n. That means it becomes 1 upon 4n times. Okay, are you getting my point? The radius will change from primary to secondary with r by 4n. When you see the speed, you can see here, this would become 2 times as previous. In the primary unbalanced force, the speed is omega. In the secondary unbalanced force, the speed will become 2 omega. Okay. And what about the angle? Here the angle is theta, and the theta becomes 2 theta. Okay. So now we can express in this diagram. This is our secondary crank. I am just assuming here this is the secondary crank. Okay. Here there is a mass m attached at a radius r by 4n, and the speed is 2 omega, because the speed of the actual crank is omega. So the speed of the imaginary crank, we can call it as imaginary crank. However, there is no actual crank, but we are going to discuss the secondary balancing. So we need to understand it using diagram. So I am just expressing it in the diagram, so it would be easy to understand what is happening here. So that's why I'm just assuming that imaginary crank, which is having the radius r by 4 and the speed is 2 omega, but the mass is same as previous m. Okay, so the speed of this is omega and the radius is r. Okay, and what about angle? Angle is 2 theta. Angle is 2 theta for the imaginary crank. Okay, or you can call it a secondary crank. Both the things is same. Either it is secondary crank or imaginary crank, or you can say artificial. Okay. So if you want to take the component of the secondary crank along the line of stroke, so it would be, okay, it can be taken as this. This would be the component of the secondary unbalanced force along the line of stroke. Okay, because the angle of the crank is 2 theta, so we can take a component. Okay, there will be a centrifugal force also. Okay, on the secondary crank. So this is our secondary crank. You can see the difference between the primary crank. This is our primary. You can call it as primary or secondary. Primary or actual. This is primary or actual crank. You can see easily the difference between the primary and the secondary crank, because it needs to understand, because when we do the numerical questions, so you have to apply this concept. Okay, So it would be necessary to understand the difference between the primary crank and the secondary crank. You can see that there is a mass which is m here, and here is also m, and the speed is omega for the primary crank, and it becomes 2 omega. That means twice of the previous in the second crank. When I'm talking about the radius of the primary crank is r, but it becomes r by 4 in case of secondary crank. Okay, the angle becomes twice as previous. Okay, so there are three things which is going to be changed: the radius and the speed and the angle, but the mass is same. Okay, so I hope you will understand this secondary balancing. Okay, so if you want to balance an engine completely, that means if you want to balance the engine from the secondary balancing point of view, you need two things. You need to satisfy two conditions. I'm talking about the secondary balancing because we already discussed the primary balancing. Okay, so here I'm just talking about the secondary balancing. If you want to balance completely an engine from the secondary balancing perspective, you need two conditions must to be satisfied. The first is algebraic sum of the secondary forces must be equal to 0. So here I'm just writing that two conditions for secondary balancing. For secondary balancing, you must satisfy two conditions. The first is the algebraic sum of the secondary force. The algebraic sum of secondary force must be equal to 0. Secondary forces must be equal to 0. So this is the first conditions for the secondary unbalanced force. Okay, so the algebraic sum of the secondary forces must be equal to 0, and the second condition is that the algebraic sum of the couples, the algebraic sum of the couples, the algebraic sum of couples, the algebraic sum of the couples about any point, about any point, about any point must be equal to 0. About any point must be equal to 0. So these two conditions must be satisfied for the secondary balancing. Okay, and we will use this formula when we do the numerical questions. Okay, so for the engine to be secondary balanced, you need to satisfy two conditions. The first is algebraic sum of the secondary forces must be 0, or you can write as, in other words, the secondary force polygon must be closed. This is a simple language. Or in the second conditions, algebraic sum of the couples about any point must be equal to 0, or you can write it as the secondary couple polygon must close. Okay, so basically this was the secondary balancing, and in the secondary balancing, let me show you some examples. This is basically the objective questions they may ask in the examination, so I'm just explaining you here. These are the examples you can consider. Suppose this is our primary configuration. Okay, now you already know that what is the difference between the primary and the secondary configurations. I already told you. Now you have to draw the secondary configuration on the basis of the primary configuration. So this, I have just drawn the primary configuration. So before drawing the secondary configuration, you must understand three things. That in case of secondary configuration, the speed becomes twice as previous, and radius becomes r by 4n, and theta angle becomes twice. So there is only angle which plays a role here in drawing the configurations, because this is at 90 degree and there is a crank which is having, suppose this is B and this is a C. Okay, so when they ask to draw the secondary configuration, you can see the B crank is at a 0 degree angle, because this is horizontal line, so this is 0 degree. So 0 and twice of 0 is also 0. So secondary configuration for the first cranks would be same at the same position. So that would be at the same position like that. Okay. Now what about the crank C? Okay. Since it is at 90 degree, you have to consider reference. Okay. So I'm just considering reference here, and from the reference the B is at 0 degree angle. Okay. So from the reference the angle of the crank B is 0 degree. So that's why the twice of the 0 is also 0. So but the C is at 90 degree from the reference. So that means you have to consider twice 2 theta. That means 2 into 90 degree, that becomes 180 degree. So in case of secondary configurations, the position of the C would be like that. The position of the C would be at 180 degree, and this would be the, this is 180 degree. Okay. So this becomes the secondary configuration. Now you understand how to draw the secondary configuration using primary configuration. So this is our secondary configuration. You just have to be careful about when you draw the configurations, because in this type of questions the angle is very important. Okay. Now this is our first example. Now I'm considering second examples. Now see here. In the second examples, I'm drawing a little bit complicated configurations like that. This is your primary configurations. Now you have to draw the secondary configurations. Primary configurations is given. Now draw the secondary configuration. How you draw? Let us, this is 1 and this is 2 and this is 3 and this is 4, and you have to draw secondary configurations. See here, this is the reference I'm taking. Okay. So from the reference you can see there is a crank 1 which is at 0 degree. So that means we know that in case of secondary configuration the angle becomes 2 times. So 0 multiply 2, that is also 0. So it would be remains same position, and this would be at the same position. Now what about the second crank? Second crank is at 90 degree. That means it becomes twice 180 degree in the second configuration. So it would be at that position. Okay. So this is the second crank, and the center is here. Okay. Now we have drawn first and the second. What about third crank? Now see the reference. Reference is this. So from the reference, the crank 3 is at 180 degree. That means when you twice of 180 degree, it becomes 360 degree. 360 degree means you have to rotate it with 360 degree. That means it would be again the same position as the position of first crank. Okay, because this is at 180 degree, and when you twice it, so it would be 360 degree. That means it would be at the position of the crank first. Okay, so that's why this is 3. This is for the secondary configuration. We are drawing the secondary configuration. Now the remaining fourth crank is that it is at 90, 180 and 270 degree. Okay, this is at 270 degree, or you can say this is 90 degree with a you can say this is a 90 degree clockwise direction. You can also say, if you don't want to multiply 270 with 2, you can calculate, you can multiply 90 with 2, but you have to rotate 4 in the same direction as the fourth crank is at the same directions with the crank 1. Okay, so that would be 90 degree. That means you have to rotate it with 180 degree, so it would be at this position. Okay, so this is the secondary configuration of this. Now you are able to understand how to draw the secondary configurations. Okay, let me give you one more example. Now you just have to draw it, okay, on yourself. I'm just drawing it. You have to draw its secondary configuration. So this is one, and this is fourth positions of the crank, and this is the second crank, and this is third. Now you have to draw secondary configuration. This is our family, and this is at 180 degree. Okay, so this is primary configurations. So draw its secondary configuration as fast as you can draw. Now see here how to draw the secondary configuration. See here, first to draw the, this is our reference. Okay, and you can see here with the reference, crank 1 is first, one by one we will see. First crank is at 0 degree, that means 0 to what? 0 to reference. Reference, from the reference, crank 1 is at 0 degree, that means it would be at the same position. Okay. Now second crank, if I'm talking about the second crank, you can see second crank is at 180 degree from the reference. Okay, not from one, from the reference. Okay, so from the reference, is it at one? It is at 180 degree. That means in the secondary configuration, it would be at 360 degree. Okay, so again it will come to this position. Similarly, when you see the third, it will again come at the first position, first and second position, because this is also at 180 degree. Okay, now when you talk about the fourth, this is at 0 degree from the reference, so it would remain same position. So that would be the secondary configuration. Like that, you can solve the number of questions. Okay, you just have to see the angles from the reference. Okay, and you can draw the secondary configurations of any types of problems. Okay, so I hope you will understand secondary balancing completely. You will do the numerical questions, then it would be easy to understand how we use the secondary balancing concept in the numerical questions. Okay, so